You're already infected. You just don't know it yet. It could have been the water, a stranger coughing in the transit tunnels, or the stims your foreman passed around on the night shift. The source won't change anything. The walking pox is in you now, and the only question left is how fast it runs its course. The speed is the cruel part. It takes its time. Nobody in the Imperium will warn you about any of this. Your own government would rather vent your whole hab-block into the void than admit what happened. The cold arrives first. You'd expect a fever from a plague. You get the reverse. The chill starts somewhere deep inside you, and no amount of heat ever reaches it. It drags a hunger along behind it that food refuses to fix. You eat and stay empty. Then you feel something shift under your skin, and you tell yourself it's nerves, or stress, or the bad rations again. The Imperium files you under a name at this point. You're a Groaner. Mostly human still, upright still, hauling yourself to your shift, because skipping it means they cut your rations. You've started muttering, and you can't make it stop. The cold keeps biting, things keep crawling, and your mouth runs on its own with nothing to say. Your neighbors cross to the far wall when they spot you in the corridor. Good instinct on their part. A kinder disease would finish you here. The walking pox finishes you too, on paper. Your organs quit one after another, and you die. That ought to be the end. In a galaxy with any mercy in it, that's where the page goes blank. The page doesn't go blank. That gap between dying and ending is the entire reason this plague exists. A corpse was never the goal. The disease wants a passenger riding inside the corpse. You die, and you stay. Your heart stops, and you're still in there behind your own eyes. Your body cools and stiffens, and then it climbs back to its feet on its own, and you feel every part of that. You feel your dead legs accept the weight. You feel your face haul itself into a wide-locked grin you never asked for and can't drop. Your body turns, shuffles off down the corridor, hunting for someone warm, and takes you along for the entire walk. You're a Poxwalker now, and the part you have to understand is that you never left. The lights stayed on behind your eyes. You watch where your body goes. You feel what your hands do when they catch someone who hasn't turned yet. You go to scream, and it comes out a groan, because the thing wearing your skin has no interest in screaming. It just keeps walking. The awareness isn't an accident. The Imperium runs a secret branch of the Inquisition built for the single job of hunting the walking dead, and they studied this. They committed their finding to record. The plague leaves you conscious on purpose. The plague god finds it funny. The official reason you stay awake inside your own corpse comes down to a god deciding it makes a good joke. He is old enough and vast enough to enjoy it for as long as you last. The decay goes past your flesh too. The wider curse chews on the soul alongside the body, grinding at it across years. The version of you trapped in there doesn't even get to stay sharp and defiant. You thin out. The person you were wears down a little further every day until there's barely enough of you left to keep doing the suffering. That erosion might count as the one mercy in the whole setup, except it takes years to arrive, and you stay awake through every one of them. A curse this specific had to come from somewhere, so let's follow it back. It starts with the Death Guard. 10,000 years ago, they marched as one of the Emperor's own legions under the Primarch Mortarion, proud, grim, and almost impossible to put down. Halfway through the civil war that nearly ended the Imperium, a sickness called the Destroyer Plague caught them while they were stranded and helpless. In their desperation, they prayed to the one power that bothered to answer. Nurgle answered. The plague didn't kill the Death Guard. Nurgle remade them through it. The same rot still turns over inside them today, 10,000 years on, leaking out of their armor wherever they march. Typhus turned, spreading it into a craft. He's their champion, and he hauls more diseases around in his body than the Imperial archives can list. Wherever Typhus walks, the plagues bloom and whole worlds turn over to the grandfather. A tear in reality called the Great Rift split the galaxy down the middle, and the energy bleeding out of it keeps twisting old plagues into new ones faster than anyone can name them. The Weeping, the Mutterflux, the Slithering Scourge. The walking pox eating you right now is a cocktail of the nastiest of them poured together. One disease didn't do this to you. A recipe did. While we're naming who did this, let's be honest about who didn't lift a finger to stop it, because it changes how the story ends. The Imperium knows the walking pox exists. It funds a whole secret order of inquisitors to deal with it. Its standard response to a confirmed outbreak isn't a cure, a rescue, or even an evacuation. It's containment. A hive starts turning, and the Imperium seals the infected districts, writes off everyone behind the line. In the bad cases, it burns the zone from orbit before the rot reaches the parts of the population still generating tax revenue. Your own people won't come for you. Your own people are the ones drawing the quarantine line with you on the wrong side of it. The moment you were a Groaner muttering on the night shift, A clerk somewhere already logged you under acceptable losses. The Emperor's Light does not go looking for a dock worker on sub-level 40. Run the tally. A god finds your suffering hilarious. The faction that owns your corpse treats you as ammunition. The empire you served your whole life has a form filed somewhere with your district's name on it and the word Purge across the top. Every party in this story gave up on you before the first shot. Sit with that, because it pays off later. One bleak detail sums up the whole arrangement. So many strains of this plague overlap now, so much of it seeping out of the Death Guard at once, that on most worlds, nobody can even name the exact disease that ended you. Maybe it was the ancient one festering since that civil war 10,000 years back. Maybe a fresh mutation crawled out of the Great Rift last week. Imperial scholars argue the point. From inside the grinning corpse, the argument means nothing. Old plague, new plague, named or nameless, they drop you in the same place. Once your hab-block is a shuffling crowd of the conscious dead, the label on the disease is the last thing anyone's thinking about. You all wear the same grin. Let me lift you out of the rotting body for a moment, because I promised this wouldn't run all doom, and there's an absurd layer sitting right on top of the tragedy. You, the Poxwalker, aren't a soldier. You aren't even a weapon the way a gun is a weapon. Your inventory. The plague-ridden legion scoops you up by the thousand and pours you at the enemy because you cost nothing and never run dry. No training, no equipment. A length of rusted pipe or a snapped door hinge if the day's going your way, and then a shove toward a wall of guns. The doctrine around your kind reads like an insult. Your own commanders line you up in front of the real troops for the express purpose of soaking incoming fire so the proper soldiers behind you stay clean. You're a shield made of meat that came with a pulse it never wanted. Someone fires at a genuine plague-ridden warrior, and the damage lands on Poxwalkers stacked in front of him instead. You stopped being a fighter the day you died. Now, you're cover. The stupid part loops straight back into horror. It works. There are too many of you for it not to. You drop by the dozen and the dozen refills, because every living person the Horde drags down doesn't die, it joins. Cut down 100 of you, and if that 100 took 20 defenders along on the way out, the count stands at 120. The arithmetic only runs one direction. Calling it a Horde undersells it. It's a recruitment line that processes you on contact. Don't read mindless as harmless either. A Poxwalker carries no wits, but the Horde moves with a low animal coordination. You grab whatever the battlefield drops, a bar of rebar, a chunk of broken masonry, a dead man's tool, and you swing it. You never tire. You never flinch. You will never break and run. A living soldier carries a breaking point, a line where the bodies stack too high and the unit falls back. You lost that line. You walk into the fire grinning. The Poxwalker beside you steps over your corpse without pausing, and the one behind him steps over you both. No morale left to crack. Only the slow, patient math of a tide that refills itself. You don't arrive alone either. The Walking Pox takes whatever it can reach. A few of your kind hold on to a scrap of focus, get strapped with explosives, and shuffle forward ticking until a final sprint sets them off. Those are the bursters. The plague crosses into animals as well. The loyal guard dogs that once patrolled these corridors come back as Pox Hounds, fast where you're slow, sprinting out ahead of the crowd. Person or pet makes no difference to the infection. It sees raw material and works through all of it. Swing the camera around to the other side of the gun, the view most stories hand you. You're a soldier in a corridor, ammo thinning, and the dead keep coming. You put a round dead center in one chest and the thing doesn't break stride. It grins and keeps shuffling, arms out, and 40 more behind it wear the identical grin, and 40 more behind those. No reasoning with it, no frightening it. It feels nothing, and it has nowhere else in the galaxy to be. Imperial soldiers dread a Poxwalker tide more than they dread one charging warrior for a plain reason. You can stop a warrior. A flood only rises. Every shape in that flood used to be a person. The soldiers on the firing line can't afford to dwell on it, since dwelling on it is how you lock up and die. The crowd shambling toward them was a hab-block a month ago. A work crew. Dock laborers, vendors, clerks who'd filed the same forms for 30 years, all of them with names and shift schedules and somebody at home expecting them back. The Plague Legion don't sort them. They take a defeated regiment whole, or an entire household, and add the lot to the collection like wall trophies. The thing coming at you isn't an army. It's a neighborhood that died on a Tuesday, which loops back to you if you've put hours into Darktide. You've personally cut down thousands of these. Tens of thousands. They're the wallpaper of that game. The trash you wade through to reach the enemy that actually matters. and you stop clocking them as anything but obstacles about 10 minutes into your first run. Chop chop, move to the objective. Reload. The developers counted on exactly that, so they buried something underneath it. Stop sometime. Let the fighting drop off for a beat and just stand there and listen. You'll catch it now and then. The Poxwalkers in the quiet with nobody left to chase. Some of them are crying. The person inside surfaces for a second, gets one clear window onto what they are and what their hands have been doing, and answers the only way a person can answer that. Then it sinks back under. The body grins again, the groaning resumes, and you go back to clearing the room. Here's the strange ground all of it settles on. Every round you've put into a Poxwalker. Every clumsy pipe swing you've batted aside. Every one of the thousands you've dropped without a flicker of thought. All of it was the kindest thing anyone had done for that person in a very long time. You thought you were killing a monster. You were ending a sentence. The body drops, and whatever fragment of a human stayed trapped in there finally gets to quit. The cold lifts. The grin slackens. The forced march through your own neighbor's corridors ends, and the passenger gets off. They can't thank you. The mouth gave up that function a while back. If the passenger could push one last message out through those dead eyes in the half second before the lights cut, it wouldn't be a curse. It would be relief. That's the quiet horror under the most disposable enemy in the game. The danger was never the point, since one at a time they barely qualify as a threat. The Imperium trained its soldiers to see a wave of shambling garbage, and the game trained you to clear that wave without ever looking down. Underneath both, you were doing mercy work the whole time and filing it under cleanup. Hold the tally up one more time. The Plague God laughs at them. The Death Guard spend them like loose change. The Imperium stamped Purge on their district and moved on. Out of everyone in this galaxy who crossed paths with that person, the heretic with the rusted pipe and the convict in the orange jumpsuit kicking doors down, you were the only one who did them a kindness. You didn't set out to. You were reaching for the objective. You were still the only one who showed up, and the only one who let them stop. Next time you're knee-deep in them, holding a choke point and swinging on raw instinct while the groans stack up around your boots, spare half a thought for who's in there. They're glad you came. Nobody else was ever going to. You were the rescue. You went in thinking you were the cleanup.